Përshëndetje and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week, I'm joined in the studio by Andreas Wilgerdes. Now, Andreas, he's from Germany. He sold his first business at the age of 20. Working out of a garage, he built a company that would then become part of Orange, which is one of the biggest telecoms companies in Europe. He's also won prizes internationally for his entrepreneurship, and he's been featured in the Financial Times publication, 101 Leaders of the New Economy. He is an expert on remote working and digital nomadism and how to transform the way we work to meet the modern day requirements. I'm also joined by Lumiana Shehu. She is involved in a project with Andreas called Manabu, and they are empowering Albanian youth in Albania and Kosovo to work towards being part of the remote working economy, with the idea that they should be able to stay in Albania, but work for companies all around the world and earn a better salary. Andreas, Lumiana, welcome to Inside Albania, and please introduce our youngest guests as well.
This is Atlas. He's 4 months old.
Oh.
And who's this? What's your name?
Magnus.
Can you speak louder?
Magnus. You look really happy to be here, Magnus. Yeah, I know. I'm the same in the morning as well. I promise we'll be done as quickly as possible, okay? Okay, cool. If you want to go run around or go somewhere else, feel free to get up whenever you like, okay?
Okay.
Deal? Okay, cool. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Andreas. Oh. Now, what do we mean when we talk about digital nomadism? What is a digital nomad?
I don't know. So I think it's a kind of it seems to be a trendy terminology which describes a pattern which existed for more than 12,000 years. Mm-hmm. And I personally was born and grew up in a city which was exposed to mobile communication very early, and it was a test laboratory of Deutsche Telekom to do interesting stuff, which I found exciting when I was a teenager. And that led to GSM, which is a digital technology which operates in 180 countries / territories around the world and actually connects the planet in the first trusted manner.
Yes.
So that is the combination. But if you really look into the roots, then nomadism and the way how humans operate by sharing knowledge across borders has been around for a long, long, long time. Mm-hmm. So Anthony Sautin wrote a great book, How Nomads Shaped the World, and great article in the New York Times about it, very smart guy. And he really highlighted the points how people who were willing and open to look at different environments, learn from those places and share what they learned somewhere else, actually have been boosting mankind ever since.
Like when I think of digital nomadism, I think I was a digital nomad for a while. I've worked freelance for 15 years. In Malta, in Cyprus, now in Albania. And to me, it means that you have a job, you have your career, you have your profession, which you exercise remotely from wherever, allowing you the freedom to travel, to be wherever you want to be, to integrate in a different culture, to learn from people, but still to work in a sort of structured manner. Mm-hmm. But the place where you work can change depending on your mood and everything. That's my definition of it.
Yeah, and then you need a privileged passport. So I only learned when I was in my late 20s that I was born with a kind of a silver spoon in my mouth by getting a German passport, which doesn't make you think twice about the complexity, which still impacts 2/3 of the planet, where people kind of have to beg to get Schengen entry and other things, which I think, So if you look at nature, it doesn't really work.
No.
So if I look... The birds which shit into my pool, and so they don't have passports, they don't have visa issues, they don't have vaccination requirements, and so Mother Nature has worked very differently, and so in the air, in the water, so we have created artificial systems which do not really serve the planet in the best way. If you look at who are the brains who are running right now the most interesting companies around the world, none comes from a Schengen country. Mm-hmm.
But I guess it works the other way, and this is what we're going to talk about in the Albanian context, is if you have the freedom to work from anywhere, it also means you can work where you are anywhere. So you can work in Tirana. I mean, I work in Tirana, but I work mainly with a company in Brussels and one in America. And, you know, you have that freedom to connect with the opportunity anywhere in the world. Even if you have a rubbish passport that ranks right at the bottom, you're not constrained by that.
If you have that software update in your head that you can, yes, you can.
Yeah, and that's
the crucial part.
Yeah, this is a mentality switch that I'll ask you about a bit later. You're in Albania. We know each other from Malta because I lived in Malta for 10 years, as you've lived there as well. How did you get to hear about Albania?
They asked me to come. So they asked me to come.
Who's they?
This was people here from the government and some from the diaspora who are now in America. So, and I knew her, so who is Albanian American. And she said, Andreas, please come. And yes, I came. So I came at that time from Bansko, Bulgaria, which is kind of a European headquarter of digital nomadism or remote work. And I came 3 weeks before the conference and just to check it out, to be around, to walk the streets, experience the places, brought my oldest daughter at the time, and was positively surprised.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did you have a preconception before? And
sure.
What was it?
Everything you don't want to, everything which didn't turn out right. So when we crossed the border, we came by car from Bulgaria. So actually Lake Ohrid was a connection of the day. And as an example, one of the first things I saw is an endless number of Mercedes coming on the other side of the road. And I said, okay, there must be a Mercedes event here, or there's maybe a new opening somewhere. No, it's just a density of Mercedes cars on the road, which I've never seen anywhere else in the world. And if you go to Rome, Paris, Berlin, or London, you cannot really walk around with a nice watch anymore.
No.
The guys from the hotel ask you, please take it off. We don't want to call the emergency room, and please take a plastic watch.
Yes.
And so my daughter at the time said, yep, when she was interviewed on this Digital Knowledge Festival at the time, she said, Papa can walk around with a watch. She doesn't have to put it in his pocket. And so this was one of her observations, how safe
I take off my jewelry when I go to European cities.
And you need to, and this is things which have been highly mismanaged on a European level. But Albania feels safe.
Yes, it is.
It's safe, and I have traveled the country since 2022 with all my younger children, and we had awesome times, and it has ample things to offer, which are highly misunderstood.
Yes, highly misunderstood. And unfortunately, there is still a lot of bad press. Yes, there are problems here. Yes, there are problems with Albanian crime outside of the country. But the country itself, I mean, it's it's beautiful and safe for me raising a child here as well. This was one of the key reasons why I chose to continue staying here, because you don't have to worry about the same sort of things that you would have to worry about if you were raising your child in the UK. When I took my daughter to the UK in August, I had to have days of conversation with her before about how you have to behave differently in the UK than you do in Albania. For example, you hold my hand, you do not talk to strangers, you don't take sweets from strangers, you don't run off, you can't run down the street without me, you can't, if we go in a shop, you stay next to me, you know? And she was just like, but I don't understand, you know? And she was quite shocked by the difference between the two countries. She was like, Mummy, why is there people sleeping on the street?
Yes.
She'd never seen it before, you know? Mummy, why are there drunk people walking around? British culture, darling. Ljubljana. Okay, so I was trying to find data on the situation, and there's lots of different ones, but at least 36% of Albanian youth want to leave the country. I think the number is probably actually a lot higher. People that may not actually do it, but would like to. In 2022, 36,000 young people left the country in 1 year. And year on year, the universities are enrolling less and less people, less and less students. The situation is not good. And the recent waves of migration we've seen, like to the UK, have been predominantly younger people. Why are the youth leaving?
First and foremost, they're very, very misunderstood. So their family isn't supporting them. With the youth we worked with, we've had so many cases where we have to work just as much with the parents as we do with the children. They don't understand them. They've given up. The school doesn't support them. And almost most people you talk to here about this generation, they say, this generation is just they're not hardworking. They're not logical. They don't want to work. They just want to sit. in
I
reality,
think every generation says that about
for the
younger
next one, yeah.
They said that about my generation.
They just like mentorship. They like mentorship. They are stuck in bubbles with each other where they don't get a lot of exposure to what's happening outside, what you can do, how people are. They don't get exposed to opportunities. So they just talk to each other about how shitty things are here. They get in a victim mentality, and eventually they convince themselves to just live.
This is what I was going to say. You know, are their concerns sort of slightly exaggerated? Because, you know, I hear people say, oh, yeah, but I don't want to work as a waitress for 400 euros a month. And I'm like, I started my career cleaning plates for £2.50 an hour. You know, it's not like I finished school and walked into my dream career with a salary.
Yeah.
You know, you have to start at the beginning and work up. And I think there is this sort of mentality of, oh, everything in Europe is wonderful and fantastic, and I'm going to be super rich if I live there. And I don't think that's true anymore.
No.
You know, the cost of living is insane. It's hard as an immigrant as well. You are at a disadvantage in many ways.
Yeah.
I feel it's interesting what you said about mentoring. I do corporate training on PR and communications, and I was speaking to a group of professionals working in banking. And I asked about mentoring. How many of you have mentored, been mentored? And they were like, this culture doesn't really exist here because we compete against each other.
Exactly.
We don't want to help each other. We are in complete competition. This comes from our parents. You know, you have to be better. You have to get the best grades. You have to mind your own business. You know, you have to succeed. And this culture of mentoring is really not present. Maybe more now than it was a couple of years ago. But this is a problem.
Yeah.
This is not Albania specific. This is European Business School in Frankfurt or INSEAD in Paris. These are subjects which I remember from speaking at those venues 20 years ago. So there was a situation which was very similar. There's kind of a silo thinking and so silo operating. You don't talk about everything you know in your contact with your colleague because you want to make sure that you look better than he does. So this collaboration mindset is not part of the current software release, if you use that terminology, which I would call software or headware. So it's not part of the operating system.
Yes.
That has changed to a certain degree with people who work remotely because they all work from different places. And you recruit the best people, not in your local fish tank. And they have realized if you do things jointly, you actually, everybody gets more at the end of the day. So, and that, yes, it's not existing in Albania. The young people we mentored, or I mentored here, part of the pilot project, they couldn't sit straight in the first meeting. And so it's a mindset issue. But I see the way when I speak to, or was the exposure I had to the government here and the exposure I had to reading British journalists covering the Albanian subject, they came to the conclusion that it is actually in the interest of the country to send the kids abroad, so they send money home. So at this stage, their way of what is the best solution for Albania does not include to train them, as an example, with remote working skills, so they could stay here if they want to. That's not part of the current operating system. So this is why I believe there is a question of what do they want? If they want them to continue leaving, great. Germany will love to have them. And I meet interesting Albanians in their 20s on the flight from Berlin to Tirana. And you know what? They come to visit. Yeah, they come for funerals, they come back. And so that's what they do. Otherwise, yes, a country like Germany has so many businesses which are currently shut down because nobody wants to take them over. So the Germans, or Germany 2.0, will probably be highly managed by Albanians and Turkish people with German passports. And they have a high resilience factor. And they know how to work in clans.
And actually, the opposition here has criticized the government and said, actually, you want people to leave. You are happy for the youth to go, etc. Do you think this is a deliberate strategy, or even the government, they're very pro innovation in many ways. They're maybe not switched on to
I don't think
the status quo.
They want at this stage. I was on a podcast yesterday and we had the backdrop of the pyramid. And I said, if I would be the prime minister, which I'm obviously not, you have two choices. You create spaces which are innovation-centric, which are colorful, which are showing the future. Right now, you invest a lot in what I call hardware. Or you give people skills which are great on your CV to apply for a job. You are not training them, as an example, in remote work, where they could be financially self-sufficient and free thinking. It's like a driver's license for a car. So theoretically, if you train 10,000 youths to have a driver's license for remote work, they have an option. They could stay here or they could leave. They have both options.
Yes.
It's not happening right now. I hope it will.
So what are these skills that you need to be a digital nomad? What does the government need to teach the youth in order to give them this skill
That
set?
know-how is existing. That idea came up in 2022 during this Digital Nomad conference. I read some of your articles at the time. My daughter, 9 years old at the time, saw some BBC news, and they were really, 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 really bad. So the way how they talked about Albania was kind of below the doormat.
Yeah.
So, and my daughter got upset. Papa, why don't we teach them to do what you do? You work from your phones or from your computer, and you can do it from anywhere. That's a good idea, Maya. Let's do that. And so we came up with a pilot. And yes, the know-how is existing. There's an American British lady who has been training 30,000 people around the world. She was willing to collaborate and provide the know-how complementary because I've known her for long enough. And she said, okay, let's see if that works. Because the people at that time, two more picked, or Lumiana picked with two more at the time, were very young, but it worked really, really well. You could see within 2 months things changed. We did the same pilot in Kosovo, and people in the first 2 months got work assignments from America. And the fathers, after we were on TV in Kosovo, came with tears in his face, gave me a hug and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I do not know what you're doing with my daughter, but she is happy. She gets up early in the morning, works in the different time zones. She makes more money than I do, and she can stay here.
So these are skills, time management, digital literacy.
All standard repertoire. But
what are the things that are missing that they need to learn?
It's a mindset issue that you can work with people in Texas, that you can work with people in India, that you can work with people in Berlin. And you know what? All this educated limitation, with, as example, the birds don't have, the fish don't have. So if you see the storks moving from South Africa all the way to the Nordic countries, they don't have those limitations. They find the same stork nest every year. So they have so many things which we got from an education perspective as limitation. I was part of creating the GSM standard. Nobody ever trusted each other in telecommunications. Now, if you go into a new country, within 60 seconds, they decide to trust you otherwise. You don't have to show a passport. And you can, on their system, run up a bill. And they believe they get the money. So we have a solution for that already. But this is not educated in school. There are limitations. So to remove those limitations, become part of a community. So community is important, and have mentors. That is all needed. It's not difficult.
And actually doing this corporate training, when I was talking about remote working, the two main hesitancies from people were on a personal level, they were like, we can't work at home by ourselves. I get distracted. And I'm like, believe me, if you are working from home, you're like, I've been working from home for 15 years. My motivation is if I don't sit down and do my work, I'm not going to get paid. I'm not going to pay the mortgage. I'm not going to be able to put food on the table, send my daughter to piano lessons. That's your motivation. Once you get that into your head, that you are the driver of your own success. And if you don't move, then you're not going to get paid. You're going to get fired. You're not going to be able to get another job. That is the motivation you need. I find it more distracting when I'm in an office because you're there and then a colleague comes over and then you go get a coffee and when you sit at home by yourself, okay, you're in your own home, there's lots of distractions there, but there's actually less than there are. And you have to learn how to be your own motivator. And this is a really important skill. And it's not that difficult because you just kind of have to scare yourself. Like I said, if I don't do this, I'm going to end up with no money.
And it doesn't have to be a home. So the idea of home could be any co-working space.
A cafe, a beach.
Exactly. So it's whatever serves you best.
Yes.
That's the point. And if you look into places, including Tirana, the number of co-working spaces which popped up, which are really impressive, is awesome. So it's nice to see. It's a mindset issue. It works exceptionally well. And as I said yesterday in this podcast, if you really want to give the youth a chance, you have to create a movement where you have the first 1,000, 10,000 trained so they can stay if they want.
Yes. And the other hesitancy was from employers. They were like, but we don't trust them. They're going to take the piss. And I said, because we can talk about flexible working hours, 4-day weeks, all of these things. No. They'll take advantage. And I'm like, anyone who takes advantage of that situation shouldn't be working for you anyway. You will filter out all the people you don't want working for you this way. The people who feel they're treated with respect because they have the flexibility for flexible hours, remote working, they will pay you back with dedication to their job because they feel valued.
It's a difference. The difference is mainly, again, in the mindset and operating system of the CEOs.
Yeah.
If they pay you for physical presence, that's one issue. If they pay you for delivery and added value, the second one. So what you have seen in the remote work movement, that the tools to measure added value and delivery are so simple. And we have had for generations now people sitting in offices. And if you look at The Economist, there was a great article, I think, in 2022, which is from 18-something, where somebody wrote, I'm spending now all the beautiful golden hours of the day in a concrete box. So we have only a history, which is 150 years, where we send people to a workspace. Yeah, so the productivity of people, including myself. So I had the luxury through telecommunications. I was never really, I could not imagine to sit at the same desk for any more than 2 hours.
No.
Or sit in an office, because this is not the way how I operate. And for me, it was a normal feature. I never considered that sitting anywhere for a long time would be boosting my productivity in any way or form. So, and I was lucky, as an example, after my years in Asia, I came to Malta. And then in the late 1990s, they had a crisis there at the Malta telephone company with their stock market situation. And so they asked me, what can we do to boost the stock market's potential of this telecommunication company, which dominated Malta? And after a little bit of brainstorming, I said, you have to create a remote business industry. And they looked at me like a white elephant. They said, what the fuck is that? And so with hindsight today, Malta is running one of the largest remote business industries, is a global player, as an example, in online gaming. And so in the youth over there, in Malta, I was part of creating a foundation with some of the youngsters. They led it. I just supported it. And we trained around 2,000 people over there at entrepreneurial thinking. And so, yes, it changed the landscape. People started in their own businesses.
Saves money as well.
It creates a lot of entrepreneurial thinking, and it creates a lot of entrepreneurial thinking in people who still are employed in companies, but they operate differently. They are result-driven. They're not. This is not about physical presence.
This is the thing. If you put me in an office, I work for Politico in Brussels. If you put me in the Politico office for 8 hours a day, there's going to be times of the day where I've got nothing to do. And then I have my lunch break at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to get up from my computer and go out. If I'm at home, those moments where there's nothing to do, I'll take 10 minutes, I'll have a coffee. I'm not going to take an hour lunch break at all. I'll take 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I'm actually more productive working for them for longer. Because if I'm sat in the office, I've got nothing to do. I'm just going to be like scrolling on their page or trying to find something to do. I'm not actually being productive. But okay, so we're talking about remote working in Albania. In Tirana, you mentioned lots of co-working spaces. Great. Durrës, Vlora, these cities are becoming a lot more accessible. But the areas where youth demographic change are having massive impacts are the more rural areas where we have villages which are completely empty and kids who are waiting till their 16th birthday so they can leave, legally or not, or legally. I was in Shistavets recently and I interviewed this young boy and he was like, yeah, they come here and they talk about tourism and sure, it's beautiful, but that does nothing for me. My school is falling apart. We don't have electric half the day. We don't have water. We don't even have a doctor in the village. It's an hour and a half to the nearest. Why should I stay? We talk about remote working and yes, for him, this would be great, but there are problems with infrastructure at the basic level. He doesn't have electric for part of the day.
Look at the fiber optic networks across Albania. I was positively shocked when I figured that out 2.5 years ago, and that even the small towns have fiber optic cables. Are they using it? Not really. Does anybody in the municipality provide high-speed Wi-Fi for free to the youth in that town? No. So all I'm saying is, if you want, and you create a movement here with the first 10,000 who are actually able to do it, they will teach everybody else. So then it's unstoppable. It's a positive viral effect, a positive pandemic, which you could trigger. I personally do not believe in tourism. I personally believe we will see in the next 100 years people creating a life they don't want to escape from. And I grew up in Germany where people go twice per year on a vacation because they don't like their life. Then they go to a place. Most of them are stressed out when they go there and when they come back.
They want to switch off.
Yes, exactly. And then you're supposed to sit in the sun and get a sunburn. So I never found that attractive. I always rather go to places where I learn something. I can sit in a village square, meet some local people, see what's different here. Why are they doing it the way they're doing it? What have I been missing not to look at it from their perspective? Plus, once in a while I share a few things and they ask me. Yeah, like what I did in Malta at the time was connecting submarine cables and creating a different framework. That's my perspective. So I believe tourism brings you a lot of people for a week or two who are not really interested to boost the local environment, who are not really interested to share their know-how. What I've seen around the world in different hubs where remote workers are, especially remote working families, they love to connect. The kids play on the street.
Yes.
They pick up multiple languages. They pick up multiple cultures. Yeah. So the dynamic and the know-how sharing is awesome.
Yes.
I've triggered, as an example, AI workshops 3 years ago in the mountains in Bulgaria because somebody was there visiting us. And then, yes, she was willing to do it and she continued doing it remotely once every Sunday. We have done similar stuff with film producing people and others who are willing to share their know-how. There's this old Germanic tradition of journey walkers. So people who are traded in the profession. And before they become masters in their skill, they had to travel for a year, sometimes 3 years, never come back to their hometown and work in their profession.
Yeah.
So when the roofers went to other places, helped people to fix roofs and learn how in other places actually which kind of skills exist. So they bring them back to their community. The know-how sharing based on the nomadic principle. And this, as I said, has worked for 12,000 years. So this is currently lived with remote workers who go to places. They all want to belong. Yeah, so sitting in a tourist hotel is one of the most boring things. Picking up the local vibe is what people get excited about.
Yes.
And when we mix those things in a way which works for both sides, not where you flood a place and take away their rental properties or other properties, but you have to do it in a collaborative manner which serves everybody. This is called the upskilling effect, I believe. It's a powerful feature where nowadays you can do things in most parts of the world as long as there are fiber optic cables, or soon as long as there's a Starlink connection.
And what industries can, like Albanian youth that are watching this and thinking, okay, remote working, that sounds great, sign me up. But what industries, what sort of jobs can they find, like realistically?
I mean, I know it sounds cheesy, but if they like to do something, they can put most of the skills they like to do into remote work. So we have anything from our students, we have anything from design, coding. We have a girl that was really, really good at AI, had no technical skills, helped other people who had businesses abroad put AI into their work structures. At the very bottom, what I tell everyone, because sometimes it sounds very broad and very difficult for some of these kids. If you learn how to be a good communicator, how to use basic things like emails and how to be organized, there's so many people looking to organize their day. And they're looking for virtual assistants. So that's just the basis. That's just the basis, and anybody can do that.
Virtual assistants, so like diary management, replying to emails, booking flights, ordering something off Amazon for them. And this is something, it can be done if you have, and Albanians are known for having multiple language skills. If you know English, you can work with people all over the world. So then also, tech. So developing coding, graphic design as well, website building. And then I guess like me, journalism, media, social media strategies, social media content creation, posting, content writing, editing, proofreading, translation. There's a lot.
There's a
lot of different.
What we saw through the pandemic or through the COVID scam is that even in the medical world, pediatricians, I think they see most of the kids and the mothers, I think, remotely on video. And it's highly efficient. So unheard of before, but we realize that in the medical world, you can do many, many things remotely. So and
therapy, for example.
We are not at we at the starting point of adapting, but it has become a normal situation. Like digital nomadism has become a mainstream feature these days. And so remote work is mainstream. There is a guy who was Warren Buffett's business partner. He 2.5 years ago said offices are corporate luxury. People do not want to go to an office anymore.
And
Wall Street, exactly. Wall Street says, you know what? Justify why instead of paying your people better, why do you want to force them to dress up, drive somewhere to sit in your concrete box? And so that sums it up. So I remember when people told me they don't need a mobile phone. That is 30 years ago. And now it's the other way around. I remember when I had a business card 25 years ago, which only had a German mobile number, people found it highly suspicious. So we don't have a real office. Interesting. And so we call it personal phone number. But nevertheless, nowadays those things don't come up anymore. But it takes people to adapt, probably 20 plus years in general. And the biggest problem is the vintage mindset of the management.
Yes. Yeah. They want control, micromanagement to justify.
Look at Telegram, totally managed remotely.
Yeah.
Look at the most telecom companies. They still run huge offices because they pay for physical presence.
Yeah. Although I do want to be clear, especially for the Albanian audience, because this gets misconstrued a lot. It doesn't mean you just have to be remote or you just have to be physical. You can still meet with your whoever you're collaborating. You can still meet with your colleagues. You can travel. It just doesn't have to be 100% one or the other.
Yeah,
it's just the
hybrid
idea.
working.
Yeah, it's just the idea of the flexibility of you want to meet, you can do that.
Compared
You like
with
that, Atlas?
compared with a driver's license, Alice. So if you have a driver's license, what you do with the car, how you use the car, and in which context, at which time of the day, at which speed, with which tires and wheels, whatever. It's the options are endless. Just to have the skill set to drive a car is the same thing which I would love to see with 1,000, maybe 10,000 use here, because that triggers a change in momentum.
So your organization, the nonprofit Manabu, you, two questions. How many students, people have you helped in Albania? And also what concrete support and assistance are you able to provide for people who are interested in this path?
The idea came up, as I said, in September 2022 during the conference. By December, we launched a pilot, which Lumiana was handling at the Tumo facility. After I put the pieces together, we have been running a pilot in Kosovo together with the GIZ. We are currently discussing with AADF if they want to train the first 1,000 in this country. We had the last phone call with Alexander from AADF last Friday. We'll see when they do it. As I see right now, I see they're doing a lot of things when it comes to hardware. And when I explain to them that according to Euronews numbers, you're losing, Euronews, you reported 5.3 per hour, so 127 per day. If you do the maths, the use exit completion date will be sometimes in 2040. So in 15 years, this is a conservative number. Other numbers say 11 years, between 11 and 15 years, all the youth will have left, including current birth rates, which are around one child per woman. So it doesn't really help. So either we will be the European version of Manila because we import enough people from the Philippines, which is another strategy. If you want to keep the youth here, you might have to do something about it. So I have not seen a level of enthusiasm I would have loved to see since 2022 on the subject, but we had two pilots, one here, one in Kosovo. The feedback we got from parents, as I said, a crying father who said, thank you, thank you, thank you. A guy from GIZ wrote, this is the most exciting thing he has been involved in. He now retired, so he has been in the GIZ world for a long time. But GIZ is not the most entrepreneurial organization. So they spend a lot of German money on projects and doing stuff, and all of it is nice. It still will not solve the issue that on this path, this country moves into the direction of an old people's home. So they're doing ecological things. They're doing something, recycling models.
It's great, but if there's no one there to work...
That is my point. I had this discussion with the guy from the ADF. I said, you're doing amazing things in creating bazaars and all of it. Is the youth staying there and excited to take over the place at the bazaar? Not the youth I'm talking to. Maybe there are some I've missed. Not the ones I meet on a plane, not the ones I meet on the street, not the ones I meet in Skoda.
But that's crazy that by 2040, there could technically be no youth left in Albania.
It's not technically. I just put those questions into Gemini or ChatGPT, and then I get answers between 11 and 15 years. And they always say, but it's not a 100% sure model. Yes, obviously it's not a sure model. I can just see the numbers. And you know what? From having been born in Germany and having a German passport, I like the Germany 2.0 model too. I can see why Germans with Albanian roots who speak fluently German will take the tough decisions in government with the current Germans don't take. So I can see the upside for Germany too.
Yes.
But I love as well to create something here if this is what the government wants. Otherwise, obviously not. If they want it, we proved the model. Luckily, love someone like her. She's here now. She stayed here. She came back from America. She was in Canada before, and she is now working remotely. And she runs her own setup with her husband and with her son,
You are the
etc.
model of the
exactly.
process working.
This is what I
You
always
have
say.
your child with you at work,
Exactly.
This was the freedom I had. I would take my daughter to interviews. I remember giving a presentation to international media freedom organizations 5 days after she was born. She was in a wrap here.
Yeah.
They didn't even notice she was there for most of the time, you know?
Yeah. And her husband are perfect examples of young people who could leave anytime if they want.
Yeah.
And
this is what I was going to say. Most of the Albanians who leave go on to do amazing things and to be very successful outside of the country.
I'm not surprised.
This is the shame. This is the shame.
They have the resilience, they have the attitude, they understand why it's important to walk the talk. Yeah.
What's the biggest culture clash or barrier you've encountered while in Albania trying to do this?
No, there is no clash. There's
No?
visa, people. Don't forget what they are learning at home. The family value appreciation is the biggest single missing element in the Western world.
Yes.
Let me repeat this. Family values have been gone downhill.
Yes.
And so this is why the most family models fail, why there are so many single mothers in their 40s and 50s who are on antidepressants, etc. So here, the family dynamic is the most powerful feature, which we are missing in other parts of the world.
Yes.
I would, at any day, rather be with my children in a place in Turkey, in a place in Bulgaria, in small towns, or in Albania, because those family models work. Yeah, I took 2 of my kids 2 years ago. We drove through multiple countries in Europe. We came from Italy, from Ancona, took the ferry overnight. My daughter said in the morning, wow, now the playgrounds are full again. So in Italy, it's kind of an old people's home walking already.
Yeah,
And then you cross over and you see, wow, the kids, nice, how much fun, good energy, buzz. So you can see the same thing in Cyprus. Yeah, the only European capital which has still a wall in between.
Yes.
So if you go to the Greek side, beautiful coffee shops, aesthetically nice fountains, everything cool. But the coffee full of old people. If you go to the
I lived there
Turkish
briefly,
side,
and-
how much fun is that? So they play soccer on the street. The ice cream is excellent and costs only 1/3. The kids figure that out in no time. Yeah, so it's a different buzz, a different vibe. And so I think the powerful thing is they understand what visa means. So the trust factor and walking the talk, which is in remote work, the number one issue.
It's crucial.
Yeah, it's not about how to screw each other. It's not.
No.
Yeah, so if you screw somebody, it has consequences.
Of course.
This is exactly why they are great people as well to take over German businesses, which were started by my generation, and they don't find anybody who wants to take it over. So there's a great opportunity as well of taking over businesses which existing clients, which existing revenue, which nobody wants. So for the Albanians who speak German, it's a great opportunity too. But it would be so much fun as well to see this place continue some of its charm of celebrating family, of celebrating children.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about something quite Albanian specific. So this is a subject I'm quite passionate about. So according to Instat, 69% of Albanian women work compared to 82% of Albanian men. Of the women, only 51.2% are paid. The others are unpaid family workers. So they're working for a family company. The older a woman is, the more likely she is to be unemployed, while it's the opposite for men. Meanwhile, Albanian women have a higher level of education in general. Meanwhile, Albanian men earn 6.2% more than women, despite the fact that the women are more educated. Now, this, it makes me so mad. As for unpaid domestic labour, now this term I don't like because it makes it sound like someone's forcing me to raise the kids, but women spend, on average, 6.5 hours a day taking care of family members, cleaning the house, etc. This is something I do with love because it's my home. But then you see that the men do less than an hour. Now, what was interesting of this, the value of unpaid work of Albanian women could reach 60% of the GDP of the country. I'm not suggesting I'd be paid to raise my child or I'd be paid to clean the dishes or something like that. But there is a clear issue here. The women, we are working harder, we're working more, or we're not getting as many opportunities. And yet the men are earning more than us. How do you feel about these statistics and how can this concept we're talking about here maybe help alleviate this situation?
I have to say I don't live that reality. So I'm actually surrounded, and maybe it's just what I chose to do because of what I know I want to do. I'm surrounded by projects and clients who actually have more women working for them than men. I know that all of these things are happening out there, But we need people like you and I to kind of talk about it. Andreas was telling me yesterday, like, you need to show people how you mother, how you work. People need to know that. So they need to be exposed to that. Because I don't want to put it on the woman, but when that's all you know, that's where you get stuck.
Yes.
So they don't know anything more exists. And I think it's my responsibility, your responsibility to show them what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, I would say in my case, even my husband, Andreas, has lived it as well. He takes our son with him just as much as I do.
Yes.
And it's because I know what I want and I know what I can do, and other people will believe it. In my case, most of the people I meet actually trust women way more at work than they do men, and they look for female employees. So they need to get exposed to that. We need to do our part. Yeah. We need to do our part to let them know that there's more out there, and we need to help them get out of the victim mentality and into this ecosystem where they can do whatever they want to do, whether it's staying at home, working, or whatever the case.
It made me really angry a few weeks ago. Do you remember there was that MP and she was at a parliament meeting with the baby carrier?
Yes.
And she'd taken her newborn in a baby carrier, and people said, oh, it's just propaganda, it's just for PR. I was like, so what? Good. That's the kind of propaganda we need, you know? It shows that, I mean, I've done that with my daughter a million times. She's been here when I've had prime ministers I've interviewed, you know?
Yeah.
It shows that women can be mothers and can still do their job and take care of their child, and they shouldn't have to choose between them. European Parliament has just put in motion something where women who are on maternity leave, women MEPs, will be able to take part in votes by proxy. You know, things like this. We need more propaganda like this. You bringing your child to the show, this should be normalized. You are still capable of doing your job and having a conversation.
Yeah, and I know there will be tons of people who say, oh my God, he's so young, she's taking him out, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. The people who want to see and who want to be inspired will see that. Same thing with the scenario you said. So I know that in the media it got talked about, and it gets talked about because, you know, everybody's going to take advantage of whatever they believe in. But you good? The people who want to be inspired will be inspired. And the more they see that, yes, there will be backlash. There will be, like I said, I'm sure a lot of people will be like, oh my God, you took the baby with you to an interview. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. But then there will be even more people who will realize, oh, hold on, I can do that too.
Yes.
I don't have to stay home.
Yes.
And I believe that your numbers are all based on looking at the 50,000 foot level on income differences, etc. I think it's important to go to 100,000 foot level as well and teach everybody, all genders. You know what? Only spend half of your core assets. The other put into passive income generating mechanisms. So teach that in primary and secondary school that if you have an ice cream, don't eat 100%, eat 70% or eat 60%. The other 40% you rather put in something which creates dividends. So if you teach that at kindergarten or primary school level, they will operate differently. So where I'm coming from right now, you're looking at income. You know, income, if you want to work from paycheck to paycheck, it creates a wrong mindset, not financially free people. So instead of buying new fashion, buy only one instead of two items. The other one, rather invest into some stocks which pay you dividends. So we should raise, or that issue should be taught to all genders, because then this whole issue of income, you know what? Look at fashion models. Fashion models, I think the females make 100 times more than the men. Nobody wants to talk about that either. So the idea of putting the genders against each other has not really ever helped. And it creates right now people who are on antidepressants on both genders on dramatic numbers. So, and it's not about being against each other, it's being supportive.
Yes.
And we have been for the longest of the last, of the thousands of years since we existed as humanity. So understanding what you do with any asset you come across from your early childhood days and your pocket money, which you can save, and understanding don't spend more than half. My mother always told me, Andreas, don't spend more than half of what you make. You know what? I followed that principle to a high degree, and it allowed me to be free in many ways how I operate. And I don't spend money on fancy stuff left, right, and middle. Yeah, I wear the same kind of T-shirts on most days, and you know what? It serves me well.
Yes. I'm a freelancer. What I earn in a month can really vary. I pay myself a salary, out of whatever I earn. So I have my mortgage, I have what I need to pay for my daughter, blah, 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 food, bills, etc. A little bit of extra spending money, and the rest is saved because you never know what's going to happen. And, you know, I remember I'm struggling with my daughter at school at the moment, learning maths and memorizing all this stuff. And I remember, and people always say this, but it's true, I remember my teacher saying to me, you have to learn this because you're not going to be walking around with a calculator in your pocket. Well, I bloody am, aren't I? Is my daughter going to have to know maths? Yes, she should. But isn't it more important to teach her about savings and investments and interest rates and how to manage her time? And I think we need to look at how to change what we're teaching our kids as well to be practical for the new reality. Of course, they need to know how to add and subtract, but there's a lot more to education than just that.
It's financial freedom and free thinking. So if we establish this F2 pattern, then we succeed in having empowered youth. And I think that's crucial. And this is not about saving, it's actually about investment, including how you invest your time. Are you getting paid by time or are you getting paid by value you create? So ideally you understand early how to create value because people are always happy to give you 20% of what you create.
Yes. Come back. We miss you. Come back. We don't mind a bit of noise. It's fine. He's settled down now. Lumiana, if people are watching this and they want to get involved, they want to find out more, they want to know how to be a part of this and what may happen in the future, what can they do?
They can find me online. All my profiles are public and I reply to everyone. So it's very easy to reach me.
Anything else to say? What's next for the project?
We have been here every year on different invites. This year we have been here for the All Web 2025. Gertie, who is running this, has been covering the idea since it was incepted or since it came up in September 2022. And so some other people have been doing the same thing because they're interested. But it ultimately needs either the government or something like the AADF to bring it to a level of 1,000 or 10,000 to make that a movement which makes it viable for youth to stay here if they want to.
Yeah.
We need more political will to push things forward.
If they want to. If they don't want to, it's okay too. As I said, you can have different realities and you will see the Filipinos love to come here. They speak English. And so you can do that, which many countries who have then at a certain point Schengen access have to do because the youth all leaves.
Magnus, I have a question for you. All right, come near the microphone. What do you think of Albania? It's good? Better than Malta?
Better than Malta when it's summertime.
Yeah? Good. Wise words. Thank you very much. Andreas, Ljubljana, and to both of the children as well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's all for this week. You can watch Inside Albania every Saturday on Euronews. You can also follow us on YouTube, Euronews Albania, and across all major podcasting platforms. Until next time, Mirë Pafshim!